IVM.
There's a lot going on in the world today, and let's be honest, not everyone can understand all of it. That's why you should be listening to Simplified, where Chuck, Naren, and Shriketh take on the big issues in the world today and explain them to you in a simplified manner. They delve deep into the subject, by which I mean they go right up to the 5th page of Google results. I bet you've never done that. New episodes of Simplified are out every Monday, and you can check it out on the IVM app or wherever else you listen to podcasts. It's not that complicated, but if it is, then maybe you should talk to the guys from Simplified and ask them to do an episode on that. You can listen to it on the IVM podcast website, app, or anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the Geek Fruit Podcast. A very special episode. We're going to be doing the big one, the mother of all franchises, Star Wars. The Last Jedi.
Applause.
And for that, we needed a capable panel.
Yeah.
And
you found us.
But we couldn't find them. So instead, we got Abbas. What's up? IVM staffer, also part of Nerd Shala, and hit star, breakout star of the previous episode.
The fan response has been off the charts.
We also have our show producer who's back, Navin.
Yes. Where am I back from?
Were you not there in the last episode?
Week,
yeah. And Dinkar, he's just here.
Yes, up.
Yeah.
I didn't even leave after the last episode.
He's
I've
just
been
been
sitting here.
Yeah.
And I'm Tejas, and we're going to be talking about The Last Jedi. Where do we even begin?
Where do we even begin? So,
let us begin at the beginning of the film.
We begin with episode 4, obviously. So halfway through the entire story.
Well, this movie is many things. I think for me, just straight off, if I may just say that everything that I simply watched I only watched the first trailer. I didn't watch the second trailer. I just wanted a tease of what it's going to be like. Having said that, I thought that watching trailers would give away any of the plot. Even if I watched the second trailer, I don't think I could have expected what happened in this film.
Yeah.
Everything in this film took me by surprise in terms of where they went story-wise. For the most part, some things were, I figured they were going to do the old jaded Luke Skywalker as opposed to, vibrant and positive guy. So we knew all of that. But where they took it from there, kind of just like flipped the entire franchise on. It's literally flipped the entire franchise on its head. A lot of things that we know and love about Star Wars has been changed by this film. And that brings up a lot of issues. Some things are really, really good. Some things are questionable because it's right in the middle of the final trilogy of the Skywalker saga, I want to say.
Supposedly.
Yeah, so where do we go from here is also a big question we have to answer. So let's talk about our initial kind of reactions to the film. Let's start with Naveen. Naveen, what did you think of The Last Jedi?
Man, even I did not watch anything beyond the first teaser look of the movie because I was like, let me just go this time for the movie without having gone to any of the marketing.
Right.
And as you said, like it's a lot of things that happen in this one self-contained
so much
story.
Information, yeah.
Yeah, there's so much thrown at you and you're just there gasping for breath while also taking in the grandiose look of it all because it's one of the finest Star Wars movies in terms of just the visual aspect.
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
Hands
most
down,
definitely.
nothing surprised me like this. There are gripes. There are some very questionable things.
Same, yes.
But what Ryan Johnson's done is like he's taken it away from the original look and feel of it all.
Right.
But also question J.J. Abrams' approach to it.
J.J. Abrams must be so pissed.
He's like in your face about it. He's like, now watch me hold my beer, sort of,
Yeah.
So now he did hold his beer and then like probably went out on a spree. And like I think like even when you were watching some of the news that came out about the movie was that Hamill was not happy with the way he was taking the Luke Skywalker.
I feel a lot of that is out of context, but okay, let's
So but like you have to disregard this when you watch the movie,
of course.
obviously.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm glad in a world right now where I can just like visually see and take in a Star Wars movie and then go home happy. I think that's what
so
my
did
takeaway
you
is.
did you like it?
I loved it.
You loved it, right? Dinkar.
Despite everything, I feel that
Of
this
course.
is a beautiful, self-contained chase through the space.
Are you
And-
one of those people? I find it very hard to dislike any Star Wars. Any
True,
I
yes.
can't.
True.
I can't.
I
It's not in my DNA
Yeah.
to hate on Star
Yeah.
Wars. And there's a very popular, fan thing that goes out on the internet saying that you're not a true Star Wars fan until you hate Star Wars. But I've never ever come across that situation in my life. I don't know, but what do you think, Dinkar? What did
I
you...
loved it.
Yeah.
So the first time I watched it, I walked out like undeservedly loving it. I was like,
Okay, wow,
this
yeah.
might be my favorite thing
Sure.
ever. It was
Yeah.
just that great. Like I was on that adrenaline rush for like 2
course.
days straight,
Yeah.
at least. When I watched it again, I was able to process it a little more rationally.
Right.
So I didn't like it as undeservedly,
Wow.
but I still love it. Like, there's literally not, other than one thing, which I wouldn't even call a gripe.
Okay.
I loved absolutely everything about this movie. I have like zero questions. In fact, when that entire backlash situation started,
Yeah, I was so
I
surprised.
genuinely
So
could not
surprised, yeah.
Are you surprised about
understand
that?
it.
I'm not actually, because the first time I saw the film,
Yeah.
I liked it, but I wanted to run back home and watch The Force Awakens right away because
Okay.
it was like it's like going from The Force Awakens to The Last Jedi. It's like going from AC/DC to the Mahavishnu Orchestra. It's like with AC/DC, you know all the riffs,
Yeah.
you know everything, you're enjoying it, and with this one, you have to pay attention. You have to take
Yeah,
it all in.
yeah,
It's
very true.
too much happening,
Yeah.
and there were a couple of. It's basically the first Star Wars films that's asking its fandom to grow up, to
Yeah.
let go.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
Yeah.
Of
thank
the
God.
stuff that
Very
you
good.
have been
Yeah.
holding
Yeah.
on to, and I think that's where the
Yeah.
And I don't know how
It's about the
Mahavishnu
length of
Orchestra
a
is
Mahavishnu Orchestra song also.
I don't know, you've been tripping on Mahavishnu. Who goes in like, yeah, I want to listen to lyrics and
At
understand.
least we have a title for the final Star Wars. Star
on this
Wars, the
episode-
Mahavishnu Orchestra. Yeah, man, I friggin' loved this movie. Like, I too am surprised by. I did have the opposite reaction you did, which is that I went and I watched the first movie, and there's nothing quite as electric of an atmosphere when you go in to watch Star Wars. Which is why I
Yeah.
love Star
Yeah.
Wars to begin with. Naveen and I went for that premiere show,
Yeah.
which was at it was the night before it released worldwide, right?
It was the night before the Star Wars release.
It was the night, and December and everything, and whatever, and just everybody there is just like the energy is magic,
Yep.
man. And like that is something, there is truly nothing like a Star Wars film, at least as far as I'm concerned. There are very few movies that I think can create that kind of excitement
Yeah.
today. I
Yeah.
think the Dark Knight series, I think, when Nolan was doing Dark Knight, I think that excitement was there. I think maybe we might revisit some of that when Avengers comes out,
Harry Potter,
next month.
when it was ending.
Harry Potter,
Yeah.
sure, but the movies weren't that great. So I feel like
Lord of the
even
Rings.
though Lord of the Rings, I think when Return of the King came out, it's like, you mentioned something in the last episode. It's like, when Logan finished.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a cultural moment.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right about that. And I think it's a massive communion, man. Like of
Yeah.
people, it's like midnight mass. Literally, it was like
Exactly,
that.
I go. They opened very late.
Yeah,
and then,
it
people
was-
were already gathering
I
in
know.
the lobby,
And
and
yeah.
there were people in caves. and
Just
people with,
everybody
like,
just like
yeah.
the energy is so wonderful. And then when you go in, and then you have, well, we're in India, so we have we have dumb people who are just talking all the time. But I swear, the moment like Lucasfilm, the titles came out, everyone just
Shut
was
the
so
fuck
respectful. Just shut up, and it was so wonderful. And I think just going in from there, then the titles come on, class is great. It's all awesome.
So everybody applauds at the same time.
Yeah.
You have to applaud.
You know the
when-
moments.
Yeah, the moments when Leia comes on screen. It's amazing.
This is what Salman Khan fans feel like on Eid.
Yeah, we were just one shot of throwing coins at the screen, like literally,
And, like, dancing in front of things.
exactly. But having said that, just going into the movie, it takes so many left turns from what we expect a Star Wars movie to be. Like I think we can condense like the movie is really long, right? It's 2.5
Yeah,
hours,
yeah.
and there are lots of subplots and stuff. Some people, which people like, some people don't like, them so much. I had this, the opposite reaction. I went in for the movie, and there was so much to process in the first time I saw it. I was just like, wow, I loved so many beats from it, but in my brain I couldn't like connect it.
Yeah.
I was just like, what is happening?
much is happening?
Too much is happening. And I finished the movie, and I was already like really like I was like getting ready to leave. I was in the Northeast for 10 days, right? And like so I left, and it was just like, imagine like I was on a social media like purge. Like there was nothing. Like I went from Star Wars to like Arunachal Pradesh, So even in my tent at the Orange Festival, I was still thinking about like Mark Hamill, and I was just like, what? This is so crazy. Anyway, so I had a 10-day break, came back, watched the movie again yesterday, and I loved it. Like I absolutely loved it. Because I had time to process it, and I watched it. And there are a couple of people who say, no movie should be better the second time. It should work on its first viewing. And while I agree to that to some extent, Star Wars is not a normal movie. It's not a regular feature, you know? And we can't hold it to the same kind of standards. I mean, otherwise, like... And having said that, it's still a very good movie. Now, it's very progressive now, suddenly. You know, the nepotism has suddenly been removed from Star Wars. Like, so much has changed. So let's talk about some of the main themes which are there in the movie. Which ones could you guys identify? And tell me, what have they broken from the stereotype of Star Wars so far?
The nepotism to start with. This ain't your daddy's Star Wars.
Yeah.
Which I think is great. Like, a lot of what I don't understand is when people say, like, hey, you can't change this about the trilogy. I'm like, well, why are you even making a new Star Wars movie then? Like, we can watch the old ones. They're pretty much perfect.
And we got Force Awakens, you know? Yeah.
And we got Force Awakens, which was like, it was essentially a retread.
It was an homage.
It was an homage.
I love that movie. I absolutely love The Force Awakens. A lot of people say, you know, that why should you like it? But it was great. It's a great film.
Great, yeah.
It's a great film. Yeah. But I did feel even like, well, not again when I watched it, because that initial aura is always there.
Yeah.
But much later, I was like, well, it is pretty much just a retread. So I was hoping they would do something different. I still love The Force Awakens, but I really hope they take it in a new direction, because I mean that's the advantage we have, right? We're telling a new story. Let's tell a new story. Correct. Which is why I was so excited the first time, because they like trash a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, but you don't think the Skywalker saga is the integral part of this film franchise? It's like the whole thing about George Lucas, whether it's Indiana Jones or Star Wars, has always been about this whole father-son or whatever, father-daughter, whatever, that
family.
legacy. That's what it's about, family. Yeah, it's almost a Fast and the Furious franchise, right? So why do you think? I mean, while I completely understand it's, you know, maybe it's time to move on, maybe it's time to, you know, be more... Diversity is the name of the game, at least for Disney. Do you think they had to do it in this film series? Or,
let me ask you guys this. Do you feel like it's moved away from the Skywalker saga? Because I don't think so. I still feel like there's a strong chance it's going to turn out that Rey's deeply connected to the...
I don't think so. I think they're done with it. Yeah.
I would be glad if they are. But I don't feel like that's happened
They handled it really well. Like, really
It's a smooth transitioning. That's the whole point of a second movie, is to like... Now you have established all these characters who are new. And even though we tread the same path, we come to a story now where it's like, you know, it's like do or die. And these young people are now taking over. And then we have the massive finale. And now, right now, I'm not even looking forward for the finale, because I'm like, I got enough out of this. And I got enough of, you know, action and bombardment and, you know, kisses and whatever.
Yeah. I mean, in some ways, this is like the new episode 1. Yeah. And The Force Awakens was episode 0.
Yeah, it seemed like a weird reboot,
right?
but
I'm
happy
start.
About it.
It is a very new start. It even ends, like, even though this is, you know how they say, you know, the Empire Strikes Back is supposed to dip the darkness a little bit. It has a very positive kind of ending, strangely enough.
And when you ask me, like, you know, what kind of situation makes you wonder how... Because the killing of the ships that are kind of running away from the mothership.
Yeah, very Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, like, and like very back to back, and they're not sparing. Like, you know, you have these moments in movies where they kill 2 of them and maybe the rest make it out.
Right.
But here they're like bombarding them and killing them all by one. I would have been glad if the one carrying Leia would have blown up at that point. That would have been like a cherry.
We'll come to that moment.
We have to talk about
that. But
so I have a bunch of things to say about the Skywalker thing. We still have one crucial Skywalker still in the game, which is Kylo Ren.
Yeah, of course.
Kylo Ren is still in it, and the way I see it, so the original trilogy was the final battle in part Return of the Jedi was supposed to be Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader, the epitome of what we consider to be the Jedi and the light side, and this towering figure of the dark side. So ideally, it would have the finale of the sequel trilogy should have been Kylo Ren versus Leia, because Leia, in the absence of Luke now, is the epitome of light.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Kylo is the conflicted one here.
Or, I mean, like, well, you had Snoke as well, right? Like, so we had Snoke. I thought the final battle would be like a Rey versus, a Kylo Ren. And, you know, this is similar to Return of the Jedi with, you know, Snoke in the background laughing and doing electricity.
Yeah, but Snoke was just, I have so many feelings about Snoke. That's a sentence I thought I'll never say.
Yeah.
But, like, he set up like...
face that turns over.
That's the thing. We don't even know if he was a human or an alien. He was taken away from us before we actually came to know how he was, who he was.
Gone too soon. R.I.P. Snoke.
He was supposed to be this mega mind running everything from
and he
behind
looks like
the
Megamind
scenes.
as well.
From behind the scenes, and then he's gone in pretty much the first half of Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So I think,
spoilers, guys.
Yeah, go to spoil shit, right?
Sorry,
it's been a week, or more than a week.
Yeah. So and the weird thing is when the Lucasfilm announced the title of The Last Jedi on their Instagram, they very specifically called this the Skywalker Saga.
Right.
Now, if you're doing away with all the Skywalkers, why call it the Skywalker Saga?
So you still think it's going to be about the Skywalkers?
I think so. I am with Dinkar. I think I'm kind of in two minds about the fact that because if Rey is not connected to anything, why did Luke's lightsaber call to her in The Force Awakens?
I mean, well, she was the
Maybe
most
'cause she
powerful
cool.
at that point of time, and she's a gifted student, right? Let's think about it in terms of Anakin Skywalker, right? Anakin Skywalker, when he was immaculate conception.
Yes.
He was a nobody. He was literally a kid on a desert, very similar to Rey, actually.
It's not like a King
No, but
Arthur
he
sword
was-
that can only reach out to the
He
king.
was birthed by the Force, though. He was always
by
like,
midi-chlorians, and Ryan Johnson shows a big middle finger to midi-chlorians in The Last Jedi. It's like, screw you.
which is, I love that.
I love a lot of
I
that,
love
yeah.
that too, yes.
And like a lot of people have the Force, and it's something that it's expanding the world beyond the story of one family.
Yeah.
Agreed. This the Star Wars saga has always been the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
But if we can go beyond that, well, that's amazing.
I do think so. I mean, this is, something that kind of now informs me a little more about why, Kathleen Kennedy might be so interested in giving Ryan Johnson his own, trilogy, maybe just to do new things. Okay, but specifically for me, I think, doing away with the Skywalker saga for me, I mean, I love my Skywalkers, right? Like, I love Luke
But
and I
that's a
love...
story that exists.
Yeah, but
Like I love my blue milk.
I would love to see it concluded. I'd like to see it concluded in episode 9. I mean, invariably that's what's going to happen. Something is going to come to a fore. We're going to have a Kylo Ren versus a Rey, and that's going to be great. So I'm looking forward to that. But having said that, apart from just Rey being somebody who doesn't come from any ancient
Familial
kind of
lineage.
familial lineage. At the same time, characters like Rose, there's a lot of diversity.
Sure, yes.
They've gotten a lot more characters who are just like people who have come from nowhere. She was like fixing pipes behind something, and she becomes like the hero of the story. John Boyega's entire role is that of being a stormtrooper who goes rogue.
Yeah.
So I think all of that is nice. I think it's very part of the plan that Disney is kind of rolling out to kind of make it more inclusive and make it so that anybody has the chance to be. And that's a good sentiment, I want to say. I don't know.
See, that's the conflict. I'm all on board with that, but I don't think I'm ready to let go
Of
of
the-
the things that I hold so dear.
He's like,
But-
you have to kill the past, man. Like,
If you have to,
let
yes.
it die. Let the past
I'm on
die.
Kylo's side on this one.
Kill it if you have to. That's a great line. And all right, so let's take a break. Okay, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about some of the other themes. Talk about Leia and Poe Dameron as well.
Shunyawan, 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 Shunyawan.
$1 billion acquisition. Another copycat startup got formed.
No, the tech world in India is surely moving double the speed of this voiceover.
Tune in to Shunya One every Tuesday to catch us talking to the smartest people we know on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcast from.
Right, we're back. We're talking about The Last Jedi. Big theme of this film. I mean, Oscar Isaac gets to spend a lot of screen time with Carrie Fisher in this one. Both their characters are, head to head in this master plan to kind of save the last of the resistance from the First Order. The entire arc of it is kind of convoluted, but basically the point that they're trying to make is that every Star Wars movie has one hero or somebody in an X-Wing going solo, pun intended, and, trying to kind of rid the Empire single-handedly, right? And in this movie, they basically say, that's not cool anymore. You can't do that. You can't take a ship and go and just be brash because you're going to kill people. And the death toll is something that, weighs very heavily on Leia's mind. And so that becomes a big part of the theme of this movie. So that's flipping another huge part of Star Wars, the hero's journey on its head. So what did you guys make of that?
I think, what I feel like a lot of people are seeing this as is that this is a reversal of everything that's happened in Star Wars, but I feel like it's more of a expansion. Like you're saying that, hey, sometimes when you go rogue, it's cool and you might just come back a hero, but sometimes you'll also really mess up stuff. And that's what life is like, right? Sometimes things work out, sometimes they don't. So you're kind of breaking the cycle of in the Star Wars universe, this thing happens. You're saying, well, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And I like that. I mean, Poe's always been rewarded for being like the loner hero.
Yeah.
And this time when he gets screwed for it, it's like it's development.
Yeah, it's
for
good.
him.
I
And
really
the
like it.
universe.
I think they wanted to just do away with the fact that everybody compared him to Han Solo. So like to just like reverse his.
Oh, did they get that vibe though?
Yeah,
Have you-
from the very beginning, people are like, "Oh,
Wasn't John Boyega's character supposed to be like that? He's
No.
dressed very similarly in this film,
I think
by the way.
Poe
Too.
Dameron was always like touted like as the next Solo.
Actually, Finn and Poe both have a bit of Han Solo.
Yeah,
in
they
them.
both kind of.
do, yeah.
Harrison Ford is
There's
too big
this,
to keep into one character.
One of those wired autocomplete
Yeah,
interviews
autocomplete, yeah,
that the Star Wars cast
Right.
was doing. There's this great part where Daisy Ridley's asked something like, who Ray parents or something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is the Google question. And she's like, I love that everyone keeps going like, oh, is Ray like this one?
Yeah.
And is Poe like this one? When we worked so hard on creating new
Yeah,
characters,
exactly.
all anyone wants to do is like, oh, is it based on this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but Star Wars has worked. I mean, it is the quintessential archetype story, right? Like it's the whole what is it? The hero's
Hero
journey-
with 1,000 faces.
Yeah, Joseph Campbell. So they've kind of really shat on that a lot. And what I really like about it, though, I think, and this is what, and you may disagree with me, but I think, is it that they're looking at Poe being the new Leia, like the new leader of the
Yeah.
resistance? Because right at the end, because I was watching this last night, and she, right at the end when they're on Crate, yeah, and there's that little moment with all the mythical foxes and stuff like that, those
Crystal
crystal
critters.
crystal critters, which, by the way, there's an exact same episode on Rebels. You guys need to watch
Really?
Rebels. It's so good. That's why it seemed almost obvious, because the exact same thing happens. They follow the animals and blah, blah, whatever. So everybody watch Rebels. It's great. And Leia just says, hey, why look at me? Just
Yeah,
follow him.
follow
And
him,
that
yeah.
kind of seemed like a passing
Like
of the
a passing
torch.
of the
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess so. Yeah, that's true.
So
That
I
would
mean,
be interesting.
yeah, I think that seems to be what's going to happen. How are they going to write her out of this, man?
That seemed absurd.
That
because,
is a
like,
very good question.
When the cockpit blew up, I'm like, okay, that's where she goes.
No, I thought
She
that was
almost
brutal, right?
died like 3 times in the last.
Yeah,
Jedi.
they could have.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would have done. There were too many scenes and they shot everything. It was
Yeah,
already
yeah,
done, right?
yeah.
But like the moment, that there's a beautiful moment, obviously, because Kylo is like about to shoot his mom.
Yeah.
Jesus, okay, and he doesn't. Mercifully, you can kill your dad. You can't kill your mom. But so he does. He doesn't do that, and then some guy shoots. And so okay, let's talk about this scene.
Also,
It's the
because
first time.
I feel in that moment though, like
Yeah.
they were obviously connected by the Force. Like she felt him.
Of
And he
course,
felt,
yeah.
So
I mean, like he
Given
doesn't
that-
have like such good vision where he's just like, is that my mom?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
yeah, so in that moment, I feel like she could still use the Force to convince him to not shoot the cockpit, right? She would still take
You
a
mean
moment.
like don't kill your mom?
Yeah, exactly. Like because if she's powerful enough to float herself back into the spaceship.
No, but I guess the point there is Kylo isn't open enough to let those thoughts in and be convinced. I mean, he doesn't shoot her.
Well, I mean, like that's the ultimate sign that he's
Exactly,
conflicted.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the one saving grace that at least we
Yeah.
get in
Yeah.
the very beginning of the film, right? He may be a messed up, spoiled little
Yeah,
brat,
yeah.
but
he won't kill his mom at least. Like that's
mom, dude. Yeah. Anyway, so it
But
doesn't.
Leia floating through space. What did you guys? Think
Okay,
about
first
it?
time I saw it, I was like, this is wild. This is bizarre.
Yeah. That's
Okay,
what-
this is absolutely bizarre. And I saw it and I was like, what am I watching here? I was like just
Yeah.
watching her like Mary Poppins. She's Mary Poppins, y'all. She is Mary Poppins. I think, and I watched it again yesterday.
Yeah.
And yesterday I got to kind of really sit with it because I knew what was going to happen. And then the thing that really sells it, makes it work now that I watch it again, is the beautiful score that John Williams plays behind it. It's really, really pretty. And like, it's very like old school classic Disney or something, it just felt like that. And she looks like a
There's
fairy
a magical
godmother.
tinge to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very magical. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
force based. It's like suddenly she's like a fairy godmother and she floats back into the spaceship. First of all, I was just like, everybody else is like blown to bits minus Leia, right? Because anyway, and she just floats casually back into the thing.
Yeah, that
And-
did not work for me at all.
Didn't
And
work,
that's
right?
the one. I have a couple of other things.
It's a
but that
tough
was-
one.
I don't know. It just didn't work.
You
for
think they
me.
could have done it any other way? Like what? Barring flying through
They could
space.
have canned her almost dying arc as well, right? Or she didn't get hit directly and get blown out into space. They didn't have to have her float back.
I mean, why this story is so convoluted is because she necessarily has to be in a coma for Holdo to take over.
Yeah.
True.
And then Holdo's actions kind of make Poe kind of realize it's
But
a
if
very
you
long,
look at
That's a very
long-winded
messy
arcs.
situation.
it's a long-winded arc to just make Poe understand something. But I dig it because from that very arc we get that beautiful, I mean that almost like a painting. It's that when Holdo goes through hyperspace. That was fantastic.
That was amazing.
The whole theater went like...
Yeah, it was just, everyone was like...
Again, great use of sound in that moment where everything just cuts out.
Yeah, so smart.
There's like
very smart.
there's chaos and then there's nothing.
Yeah. Oh,
and
beautiful.
And I think that's why we go for movies, guys. Like that's the whole point of
I agree.
being amazed by something.
Having said that though, there's this wonderful moment, right? Like, so they go through the whole thing and like it's
tearing it apart.
magical, right? It's just black and white. It's just like a painting. It's like a Jackson Pollock, whatever it is. And then like they cut to Poe and Leia, who just look absolutely like, they're just like, oh, okay, cool, she did that. She's just like, oh, cool, I could have thought of that. But
another indication that Ryan Johnson just wants to get done with the old stuff is he killed Admiral Akbar off screen.
Like, straight up, off screen. And she says it like, you know, she's like, I'm afraid to say that Admiral Akbar is like, you know, and
down,
a bunch of others are gone. And everyone's like, oh. It was classic.
You have no time to process that. You want the next scene. Like,
but he does say it's a rap in it. He does say that. It's good. So that was really that was intense. But you know, I just want to take this right back to the beginning of the film. It's so far away from Force Awakens because Force Awakens ends with that scene, and this movie begins with that scene. Yeah. Okay, and yet they destroy Starkiller Base and it has made no effect on the First Order. It's like where they're still being persecuted by, you know, the First Order, but and it's like they changed nothing in the scales of
Starkiller Base was always a base where they would attack them from, not really where they would hold their bases.
Yeah, but it just felt like that victory was like for nothing. Like what did they gain from that?
They were just outrunning the First Order.
They outed their location in one way.
They were about to die. And they were
let's
like,
put it this way.
Let's stop us from dying. It's not a victory as much as it is like a staving them off for a little bit longer.
Yeah, but it wasn't staving them off for anything because this movie is completely in, like, there's no gap.
There's no pause at all. Yeah.
So that I found that really like weird the second time around because I was just like, oh, okay, cool. We have to fight. You know, it's fine.
But then you can believe that First Order has that kind of like, you know, infrastructure to like attack.
See, I actually have questions about that as well. Is that so? If you see The Empire Strikes Back, by the end of the movie, you are actually fearing the Empire because they are at the top of their game.
Yeah, exactly.
What makes me fear the First Order? Snoke's dead. Kylo Ren is in power, and he's this guy who takes decisions on instinct. Not a very emotionally stable person. Hux is a joke. I don't know why or how I should be able to fear, or the rebels are supposed to fear the First Order, because all they seem to have is maximum
it's the machinery. That's what the machinery is what sells them.
So it's Kylo Ren at this point they're kind of on even ground, which I think is great. Like there's no one, there's what, like 6 rebels left.
They're like, I love that, by the way.
Yeah, that's
I love
amazing.
that they've like just really reduced them to nothing.
You're saying like, is it 6 kick-ass people or 10,000 idiots?
They're back to being rebels. They're not even the resistance anymore. Like literally, it's just like they're rebel. You know. Anyway.
But they have friends in the Outer Rim.
Or do they?
Who don't answer the call?
They'll
How
answer their call.
shitty was that?
Something will come later. It's just like space takes time, man. Like
Which is no. Nobody answered. Everyone's like, you know, like true color looking at that thing, and they're just like, nah.
It's that moment where she goes like, need help, Leia. It's like blue tick.
Red, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I thought of. Anyway, I thought that was absolutely devastating. You know, like for everything that has been there, you know, has happened, gone there. I think it's very true to what one of my favorite characters in this movie, who we can talk about now, is Benicio del Toro, who plays, I do not know what his name is. DJ, correct.
But why do you like him?
His name is
DJ?
Yeah.
Don't join.
I never noticed that.
It's don't join.
In my head, he was Benicio del Toro.
But here's why I like Benicio del Toro's character, right? It adds to that entire thing. So we see, okay, let's actually take that entire arc into question,
the
right?
Canto Bight arc.
Yeah, the Canto Bight arc. Supposed to be kind of like a Cloud City-ish. Or basically the Mos Espa, the bar, but like posh, right?
Yeah, it was the cantina, basically.
The cantina, but like posh, and like it's a casino.
Yeah.
So, literally just replace a couple of letters in that. But yeah. We go to this planet because they're trying to find code breakers. It seems like a very harebrained kind of goose chase and whatever it is. And I knew, like, okay, cool, this is typical Star Wars. But what's really great about that is that they shut that shit down so hard because it ends up being absolutely like futile.
Yeah.
And the guy who they were relying on, which is just supposed to be who would have been like a Lando, who Lando also kind of does, we don't know if Benicio will come back in the third one or not, but he completely shits on them. But the reasons for why he does it were really appealing to me. I thought that was really interesting. It's because we are introduced to a new concept in Star Wars, saying that war profiteering is something that happens on both sides. So your resistance are as the First Order. Yeah. So everybody's buying from these guys, and there's lots of money being made. But the other thing was really, really awesome about Benicio is that right at the end when he sells them out, and he's just like, I got caught, I cut a deal, and he's just like, you're gonna pay for this. He's like, don't worry. They'll blow you up today, you'll blow them up tomorrow. It's fine. And that's what it is. That's Star Wars. It was so meta. In fact, like for me, that was like really, really smart actually. This to kind of address that this is Star Wars, this is what happens. People blow up somebody, the next movie you're gonna win, the next movie you're gonna lose. It's as simple as that.
But I was really dissatisfied with the whole arc being for naught, It's just like because we went through an entire adventure with them.
Yeah.
And I feel like the entire thing was just leading up to him fighting Phasma. I think that was the big payoff in a way.
Fair enough, I agree.
Because
and
it wasn't even a payoff.
It was just like, again, very abruptly done.
Yeah. But it does do something in that
they give the kid the Force kid introduction as well.
No, sure, no, but not even that.
I mean, that was the main
for me, the arc of Finn's character, who I guess is a bit... I mean, we really don't know what to do with Finn, do we? I mean, like, he just seems to be this guy...
He was so tied to Rey in the first one.
Yeah, and now they don't have any scenes together, do they?
Yeah. One at the end,
I suppose. And they're so tight, and I'm just like, you guys are BFFs, but really? Like, I mean, okay, anyway, besides the point, I feel like it gets a little shortchanged in this one, but I think the entire thing is because John Boyega, let me put it this way. Successful actor, funny guy, want to put him in Star Wars. How do you make him important? Okay, make him a guy he's in the beginning of the movie, he's trying to flee, right? He's trying to escape. Yeah. And by the end, he says, I'm Rebel Scum, and he's like on board with being, right. So I think that transition was important. And, he sees that through Rose, who was great. I really liked her.
Yeah, I really liked her as well.
I think she's, very natural on screen.
She gets that great honor of every Star Wars character. She gets her own John Williams theme. I mean, after Rey.
Oh, right?
Yeah, Rose is the only other new character who gets...
shit.
And because I think we heard first when her sister's bombarding the...
Yeah. That was that first scene in this movie.
That was beautifully shot.
It was just unbelievably good, man.
And that's what, so we meet them in Media Res and like this is going crazy berserk.
What a friggin' scene, man. And especially Poe's flying in that X-Wing was the first most like... Because usually you see... On Star Wars movies, you see the cockpit shot, and then you see outside with CGI. Yeah. But here you got to see like actual movement and stuff. Oh man, that was
4DX.
It was so good. Yeah. So anyway, really, really good.
Did you guys like the little banter that Hux and Poe have at the beginning? The cell phone humor.
Okay, we'll talk about the comedy of this film in the next segment. Sure. Okay, cool. Let's just take a short break, and we'll come back to talk about some of those jokes.
Hi, I'm Amit Verma, the host of the weekly podcast, The Seen and the Unseen. In my show, I examine the seen effects and the unintended consequences of public policy and private action. I show how policies meant to help the poor often end up hurting the poor. I've done episodes so far on demonetization, GST, surgical strikes, immigration and MRP. And I will continue my forensic assault on the truth in the weeks to come.
Catch the show every Monday on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you prefer. Or visit seenunseen.in for all the latest updates.
Hey guys, we're back. We're talking about The Last Jedi. Let's talk about the comedy of this film. That is something that I had a bit of a problem with. Out of everything, I can say the thing that really got me feeling a little weird was some really misplaced, badly timed humor.
Yeah, this is so subjective though.
I agree.
Let the comedians opine on this first.
Let's go. Comedians.
So for me, it reeked of the Marvelization of big Hollywood
Agreed.
films.
I felt it.
I feel it's Disney's fingers slowly tickling down with the productions. Like,
where everything has to be quippy, everything has to have a joke in the third line. So the beginning Hux Poe thing.
Did you like it?
It's funny, but it feels out of place.
I felt that was
bad.
I think it's because, and I know exactly what you mean. Like, it's right at the beginning of the film. reminded me a lot of that Thor joke, right at the start of the film. That kind of sets the tone for it. But the problem is that because in the previous film, we've seen Hux as this guy who's a very self-serious, very serious guy, very, and like one thing I was just reading about, I think it was on the IGN podcast, where he's like, Hux's character is actually brilliant, right? Like everyone says, oh, Hux is like but he's the first yes man in the entire Empire, because everybody who's gone up against like Darth Vader gets choked, dies. This is the only guy who's agreed and said yes and yes and yes and snibbled his way to the top.
Exactly, he's ballsy enough to question Kylo Ren's methods.
Yeah,
I think I always liked Domhnall Gleeson.
Yeah, he's fantastic. You know what? He's great in this, man. Like, I
this
really
character
like this.
because we need someone, because we have this maniac who can like just like blow things up because he has a lightsaber.
Yeah,
there has to be someone who questions him. And I think after Snoke's gone, this guy's generally like peeing his pants a little bit, but he's also like, I'm still gonna talk back to you because you're shit, Kylo.
There's this one amazing like moment which is just where like, Kylo Ren is on the ground and you can see Hux like just pulls his coat back to draw his like his gun, and then he just like, it's like a moment of weakness almost, and then he's just like, no, I'm not gonna do that. That was really great. Anyway, so to come back to that scene, I think it really sets the tone of the film. I think that was fine. Other things, there was some very space ballsy comedy in this. Like the iron. Which comes down onto the dress.
Yeah,
do you not remember that?
Which looks like a spacecraft.
It looks like a spacecraft. And I remember I saw it. I was like, this looks a lot like an iron. And it is an iron, which is pressing. And I thought that is straight out of Spaceballs.
That was super random.
But I found it really funny. It was really funny, but it's also like, very serious part of the
doesn't sit
film.
with the tone,
other things like when Rey and Luke are having that first lesson. He tickles her hand and everything, and then suddenly she's like, you meant reach out from the heart, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like suddenly like a out of character kind of moment.
That was
for
hilarious.
Her. It was funny.
It was out of character for her, but for him, it was perfect.
It's great. Yeah, because
going like,
Mark Hamill.
Yeah,
it's great. Mark Hamill. Anyway, and the thing is that you have to understand that Luke Skywalker anyway is not a Jedi of the old order, right? He's the most unorthodox Jedi of all time, and like he has been doing everything by his own ways and his own rules. So that's totally acceptable. But Rey is somebody who's like come off as like really earnest, and then she starts kind of behaving like all funny and cute, and I'm just like, okay, that's a little strange.
Yeah, she's trying to like please him too hard for some reason. It's just like,
and I thought she was great in the film. Like there's that one line which I really thought was like she acted really well, but she's just like, I'm looking for somebody to find. I'm looking for what? Somebody to show me my place in all of this. And I thought that entire sequence on
Acto.
Yeah.
It's like somebody.
It is actually yeah. But
the one thing that kind of bothered me, this might be a little quibble, but there's a point where Luke calls a lightsaber a laser sword.
But that is so brilliant. That's the shitting on everything. I love that.
He's basically
but does that mean Luke knows if lightsaber is the only sword he has known? How does he know there's something called as a sword, which is not a lightsaber? It's like commenting on the film within the film, which kind of took me out a little bit.
I didn't bother me as much, but I think what was really nice about
swords are very simple to make, man. Like,
but have you seen a sword in a
Star Wars? We get versions of it
in Rogue One, right?
In Rogue One, we have the Royal Guard of Snoke. Yeah. So we get all of that. My thing with him calling it a laser sword is very. What I really loved about Luke Skywalker in this film, even though Mark Hamill may or may not have liked this role as much, but what I really liked about it is that he addresses a lot of the things that I felt maybe like when I was growing up, like when we grew up, you're just like, you think the Jedis are the shit. You're like, I want to be a Jedi, I want to be a Jedi, I want to be... And then you grew up and you're just like, the Jedi are really weird. And they're like almost like the Catholic Church or whatever it is, like they have like, it's
somebody
what...
with
like,
the red robes.
Yeah, exactly. It's what religion did to the world, right? Like they kind of tried to own things and, and maybe that was not the right way. And what what Luke Skywalker has realized over time is that he's just like dwelled upon, even like he mentions the prequels, which I thought was really cool. He's just like, he says Darth Sidious. He says, what he does say is that, the Jedi, at the height of their powers, let somebody rise up, and so I thought that was really
the legacy
cool.
of the Jedi is failure. And I never expected that to hear from Luke Skywalker.
So I think,
but
and so in that vein, I think laser sword makes sense because he's just like, this is a lightsaber. We've given it so much importance. It's just a damn laser sword,
Which is why it's amazing when he just like flings it right at the start.
That is actually what sets the tone of the film.
I feel like we lost a couple of Christian listeners at this point.
I mean, like whatever. Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's Christian, but I'm
That's
just
okay.
saying it's any religion, you know.
Also, let's
Yeah.
talk about Yoda, who shows up.
Beautiful, loved
Just a
it.
great
Absolutely
cameo.
did not even expect that.
Expect that.
Didn't
I
know
know.
I needed that. And when we got it, I was just like, thank you, Frank Oz.
Because
God
just
bless
like
you.
again at this point, he's just like coming back from the grave to laugh at Luke's.
I loved it.
Ineptitude.
It was very.
ineptitude.
It was so straight out of Empire
Empire
Strikes
Strikes
Back.
Back,
Yeah,
exactly.
it was
He's
beautiful.
like, go burn it, and then he just like lifts a pinky
Yeah.
and burns the whole thing down. yeah.
And the best line from the movie, at least for me, is that they go beyond what we are, or something like that. So like that's the role of a student, right? Is to go beyond the master. And I thought that's so meta again of the entire
it's
series.
like
You
the
know.
thesis statement for the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Like the whole that is so it's very planned. This is like a very well planned, thought process from Rian Johnson, who I didn't think had it in him to kind of flip this guy on his head because of Looper, and I hate that movie. But anyway, but you know,
hey, 3 Breaking Bad episodes.
oh, of course, 3 Breaking Bad episodes. 3 episodes. I'm away from finishing the entire series. But anyway, but the thing about this, you know, apart from that, you know, they have to go beyond failure is the greatest lesson. All that. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to. You know, that is the theme of this film, and I think that is. It's really strong with all the characters' arcs. Everything that we know and love about Star Wars has been upended, and it's great. And I think that's what really this movie is flawed, but it's so refreshing. It's like the most progressive Star Wars movie we've seen, and I think that's what's going to make it a cult movie. Maybe people are hating it now, but I'm telling you, 10 years from now, people are going to start loving it.
I think the
Like
only people who are
Yeah.
hating it are people who are measuring it against an expectation of what they wanted it to be. Right?
You know, what
you're
did
saying,
you want
like,
the movie to be, man?
I wanted it to be a good movie, and I think it
straight.
was.
No,
Yeah.
I think
No questions asked.
I wanted it to be a good movie, but I was expecting it to be a good movie in the vein of Star Wars, like like a new plot, but
it's
like
not
going
not
through
in the vein of Star Wars. Right. It's a very Star Wars
it's the
movie.
least Star Wars movie of all Star Wars movies, man. Like, think about it, dude.
In terms of
It's
plot, but
like-
in terms of feel, I feel like it's right in there.
Yeah,
I
mean,
feel
feels, of
it's
course,
the other
goes
way
without
around
saying.
because no Star Wars movie has this convoluted a plot in general, and so many themes
And I like
that
that,
they're dealing
though.
with.
Yeah.
So I think in general the idea that Star Wars movies can be self-contained like this, have like a massive sequence going through space, like people chasing each other, while also doing a side mission, while also having a very strong family arc, as well as having a training arc.
But
And,
enough
like,
about Empire Strikes Back.
I read this amazing article. I think out of all the articles that have come out, this one really is just a slap on the face. I think it was written by AV Club. I don't know if you got this one, but it was basically like how,
Right.
and we mentioned,
The epilogues are always...
there's no end. You know, there's no end. It's like what Dr. Manhattan says. You know, he's like, will it all be okay? And he's like, nothing ever ends. You know,
Yeah.
and like this is that. This is like that few moments of bliss that we had on Endor is the only time that was the happiest Han, Leia, and Luke will ever be in their lives.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then all of them just die. Like bad, tragic deaths. One at the hands of his son, the other one at the other hands of his nephew. You know, I'm just like, wow, that's insanely sad.
Yep.
Like, so, and you know, it kind of removes you kind of feel sad, and like you feel like it's almost pathetic, like that, you know, all these characters who you think, if you stop at Return of the Jedi, you're just like, oh, these guys will live, you know, amazing
Happily ever
lives.
after,
Yeah.
yeah.
But they
But-
don't,
but
because
see,
life sucks.
Yeah, that's the thing. In The Force Awakens, you didn't feel the weight of the world
You didn't,
upon
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
In The Last Jedi, for some reason, you do, because there's just so much happening.
Yeah.
And I think the primary thing I take away from The Last Jedi, which is different from the previous 8 Star Wars films, is the almost graying of the Force.
Yes.
Which is that at some point Luke almost
good.
wanted to kill his nephew.
Yeah.
At some point Kylo wanted to kill his mother, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Weapons are being sold to the bad guys
Yeah,
as
I
well
love
as
that.
the good
So
guys.
much more subtext in this.
There's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much
yeah.
more to
Yeah,
take in.
there's so much depth in this film as opposed to the previous Star Wars film. I mean, I think this is the new age of Star Wars, and I think it's going to be really interesting where we head to next. Before we do that, though, let's talk about Snoke and let's talk about that amazing scene, the one of the best in the film.
Yeah.
I was just like, where are they going to go from here? It's almost like he wrote himself into a corner, and he was just like, okay, cool, I've got Rey here, I've got Snoke here, I've got Kylo here. What am I going to do? It's like, all right, kill Snoke.
Split him in two.
And
Yeah,
that
someone's
was,
gotta go.
and you know, it's so great. I didn't even realize how good the writing was. It's just basically, he's just like, I can see his every move, I can see his every thought. Right now, he's turning the lightsaber to vanquish his true enemy, and he's doing both, you know.
Yeah.
And like that moment just,
It was amazing.
it was so good because he kills Snoke, and the lightsaber comes back, and it's like the first movie. It's like the Force Awakens. Again, she grabs it, and it from there it's just a beautiful,
Yeah.
like almost like classic Kurosawa type film. Oh man,
Yeah,
wow.
that entire backdrop was very ran.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I thought that was a great scene. Even
Fantastic.
that revelation that he was the one who'd been connecting them up to
Yeah,
that
it was
point
great. Yeah,
was great.
But no, the whole movie rides on. Then we'll talk about some of the new powers we've seen. Like one of obviously Leia just like floating
One
through
is Skype.
space. Yeah, what people are calling force time. So So the entire movie is riding on this idea that, hey, we have this connection, we can kind of see each other, but what we realize is they're not strong enough to do it. There's only one who is, and that's Luke Skywalker, who literally just friggin' like he's the next. He upgraded the hologram technology, right? Like single-handedly. He just used the Force, and we didn't know like so many new things. Like I didn't know you could do that in the Force, man. That's so cool.
I didn't know you can go and get a haircut before going to the battle.
Did you? Yeah. So that was amazing because like I noticed that. Oh, did he like groom himself? Because he's just like he knows he has to go into battle. He might as well do it in like style.
Might as well look badass.
And just that last scene is so good. Again, a random moment of comedy where he brushes the dirt off his shoulder.
Yeah, I loved that.
So you love that. So you love that,
Yeah.
but like it felt kind of like this is a really serious moment, and then he does that. It felt like Marvel movies, like
It did
like
feel
it
like
did.
a Marvel movie.
And again, Mark Hamill
Or
can
a
pull off
singer.
anything, or a single. Mark Hamill can pull off anything. It's totally fine. But just the timing of a lot of the humor in this movie is a little off. But anyway, we come to that last scene. I thought it was great on Crate, that the whole red, the salt thing. It's just like really pretty.
There's at one point at
Bolivia.
Crate when the rebels are starting to form a line, and that's almost shot like a handheld camera. I don't think there's been a handheld camera used in any Star Wars film
Rogue One
before.
has used a lot. I
Rogue
think
One has.
that's from where they start, because Gareth Edwards was hired because he does
And
that.
Gareth
on the-
Edwards was one of the soldiers.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he did a little cameo.
Well done.
After the one who tastes the salt.
Taste the salt.
Correct. Yeah.
That entire moment, like that sequence was just
great,
visually is
Exactly, like taking a
seared in my memory.
entire new planet, creating it,
Yeah.
and then giving it a new look altogether.
Yeah.
That's again like very.
That's one of the things I missed in
unique.
Force Awakens, because Force Awakens was basically ice, forest, desert, which
Yeah.
are places we've seen in Star Wars.
Now
before.
we have salt.
But now we have red
and
salt.
pepper, yeah.
and minerals.
Yeah.
So it's a mineral planet essentially.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
Even when the Millennium Falcon is going to the inside, you feel
Yeah.
like you've seen this before, but then like it's so much
It's
cooler
always
with red
cool,
earth.
Yeah. And I just the whole theme of this
Sparkling.
film, the first time we've used red font for The Last Jedi, it's like a lot.
Yeah.
And those foxes
thematically.
were entirely animatronic, by the way. They created the first model. Like,
What rubbish.
It is. Just go online
What
and check it out.
lies.
I'm not even
I
kidding.
have no idea about that.
What are you saying,
It is
Naveen?
the truth.
It's not
I'm telling you.
animatronic. That
Fake
was
news.
No, just Google it right now.
That
They
must have been
first
like
created
the-
an
You're saying
animatronic.
those crystal foxes, the guys
Exactly.
are animatronic.
Okay, hear me out. Okay, the first model of the fox was an animatronic fox,
Okay.
and they made him move around and everything. Then captured him in 3D, and that's what they've used in the movie.
So what you see is the CGI product.
Exactly, but then
Ah.
it's based off. But they created something at least that unique that it looks beautiful enough, like to have an animatronic
Yeah.
foxes.
Branded and sold by Swarovski as well. I can totally see that happening.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Stunning though.
Yeah. So last sequence, Mark Hamill. I can't help but call him Mark Hamill. Luke Skywalker comes
Skywalker.
and Force presents himself. Like some people are calling Force pushing, whatever it is. And the one.
Forced to parking.
Yeah. But the one wish I had from this movie, if I had any, and I didn't want like anything except that when Luke Skywalker comes back, he has to be the Grand Master of the Jedi Order. Yeah, he has to be the most badass guy. And they did it,
And
man.
he was.
They did
Yeah.
it. They did it for me. Like, I felt like the moment, like, that last fight sequence where he's like dodging, and it was really cool, first of all. And then, like, he puts the lightsaber through him and he's just like, you weren't even here, dude? Like, and then he's just like, I'll see you around, kid. And then he bounced. I was just like, wow. Unbelievable. What do you think about him biting the bullet, though, and kind of phasing out for the film? So here's what happened. Mark Hamill shot it, and they didn't tell Mark Hamill that he was going to
Oh damn!
die.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't know until he saw the premiere.
Oh, shit.
So, do you think, why did they do this? Why do you think, was it the last and final finger
I think
to
that
the
it-
old,
yeah.
the old guard of
That's
Star
what
Wars?
it
if you
was. it's too soon. Like, we just met him.
Yeah, man.
And the whole build up to the whole first film was that, you get to see him in the end.
Yeah, and
then-
and considering Carrie Fisher is not going to be in the last
Yeah.
one, you need.
Yeah,
I
you
feel like you
think
need
they'd
some.
have
some
reversed
father
that
decision,
decision,
anchor
right?
point.
Yeah.
I think that must have been the plan initially. Kill one original cast member each movie, but then
No, what they said
unfortunately-
was like, the first movie is going to be Han's film, this
Yeah.
one will be Luke, and the third will be Leia. But
now we can't
But the
have
other
that.
thing is that they have a whole scene after that, which I'm assuming they shot, and they said, well, Luke's gone now, and he's like, yeah, I felt it. They couldn't have cut that out because in the end she's like, how are we going to build a rebellion from this? And she's like, yeah. So I think they had to do it, and it's cool. It's
don't
not like we're
get
not
it,
going to
though.
see.
It didn't feel like a a
fitting
great, like not like a fitting end. It's like
I like the way he goes though.
I like the
Even-
way
even
he
I
goes,
like
but it
it.
just
Yeah.
felt like tacked
The two
on.
sons.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then suddenly like, oh, and then he died.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
exactly
when-
what it
Also,
was.
he disappeared in a
And
oddly
then-
kung fu panda.
Yeah.
yeah.
Pulls off an Uruguay.
Yeah, but
When
what was really nice about is that I love that. I did feel very emotional at that moment. Like it's
Yeah.
that he sees that one sun setting and the other one is rising. out
Yeah.
of it.
It's
It's
like,
so
wow.
That
Tatooine.
was
Kind of
great.
takes him back
And
home
the
to
orchestral
the
projections at that
child
point
that he
is-
was. In Tatooine. I thought that was really like meaningful and special. And then he dies. yeah.
Actually, when J.J. Abrams was interviewed for The Force Awakens, he was asked, why does Mark Hamill come right at the Luke Skywalker
Yeah.
comes right at the end? And he said something which kind of reminded me, this moment reminded me of that. But he said, if you put Luke Skywalker in a Star Wars film, he'll always be the central character.
Yeah, of
you
course.
can't take him away
Yeah.
and focus on someone else. And I did feel that we got very less of Rey in this
We
film.
did.
As compared
Yeah.
to what we
Yeah.
did last. The
Like
last
it didn't
time.
feel like Rey's film.
Yeah.
It felt like Luke Skywalker and possibly Kylo
That's
Ren's
true.
film,
Yeah.
right? I ain't complaining.
Actually-
I love both of them. I love them. I love them all.
But do you think this is what this is the purpose, like to push Luke out of the way so that other stories can be told?
I think that's the
I
entire
think he's
plot of the
gonna
entire
come-
film.
he's
Yeah,
gonna come back as a
yeah,
Force
he's
ghost
gonna be blue
at
tinted
some
and
point,
back.
yeah.
Yeah,
Of course,
he's definitely he's gonna come back. I mean, Mark Hamill needs only like half a yes to say, yeah, I'm back. I'm Luke Skywalker, and maybe he might see the Luke Skywalker that he wants to be. Now that he's free of his
Maybe.
mortal
Yeah.
self,
Body, yeah.
maybe he might just be a more enlightened version of himself, which is great.
possible.
And we can bring back Yoda again. That's so cool.
Bring
Man.
back Obi.
Qui-Gon, Obi.
Okay, we'll talk about Obi-Wan. Yeah, man. Any other thoughts at this one? The dice thing was kind of weird and interesting, but
I think
there's
we'll see that in the solo
in
film.
the Han Solo. So, but that's weird though, right? Have you ever seen that
It was
happen?
never like a big
It
deal.
was there.
So apparently it's there
It's
in the
there in
first.
the
I
first
didn't know
First
it was
Star
Star
Wars. It's not there after that. It's only in A New Hope. It's not there
Okay.
after that.
I barely remember it.
Exactly, which is
It's
so
never
bizarre.
the focus of the scene.
But
Yeah.
it seems strange that he gave it to Leia. Leia has it, and then it appears magically on the floor. It's like she's like, oh, f- it. And then she's just like, it's like I gotta get out of here.
Because I think Leia pretty much gets it from the beginning that this is not Luke, this is his force projection.
That's cool.
yeah,
That's
that
cool.
makes
I dig it. I dig it.
So even the
Nice. Thank
things
you.
are
You gave me some closure. You gave me some
They're
closure.
using the force to courier things now. मैडम आपको पर्स
मैडम मैं फोर्स कुरियर से बात कर रहा हूँ.
अभी घर पे कोई नहीं है अभी कौन साइन करेगा नहीं it's fine. So I think yeah that's
पड़ोसी को दे
interesting.
दो.
Luke milking the sea cow. What do you think
That's
about that?
weird, but like I guess they're trying to show that he's this really insane hermit. Like they were
I
kind of
think he was trying to show Ray that like don't mess with me, man. I'm crazy.
No, yeah, but like what seemed akin to like when Yoda's just dicking around with Luke on Dagobah,
Yeah.
like and he's just like throwing shit, eating his stuff, whatever. It's like it is that. If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
like he's just showing that he's a crazy guy, he's like a crazy
Yo,
hermit.
I'm crazy, man.
Like
You insane crazy.
yeah, exactly. So I thought that was it, and.
Yeah, the point was well made in terms
And
of like
that,
how he jumps around from one rock to
And
another.
like the other thing is like, do you not find this is what some people's complaints have been? It's that Luke Skywalker is the most positive man, and this is why I can understand why Mark Hamill is a little upset. It's just like he has a student, Kylo, okay, or whatever, Ben, and that Ben shows potential of being something, and he's like, instead of solving the problem, he goes and he's just like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you instead. This is how I'm gonna solve the problem. And then he goes, and when he destroys them, he takes the students and he bounces. Instead of fixing the problem that he has seemingly created, he is just like, that. I'm outie. I'm out. And he goes to this island and he's just like, and he's given another chance. The other thing is that, he says in the movie, he's like, in no version of events I'm not gonna leave this island. He says, I'm never gonna leave this island. Yeah. I'm not gonna come back. He's not gonna change. He is a very dark, negative kind of Luke Skywalker, which for me, even if he did the exact same actions, but he said, okay, fine, I'm going to try and help you, but I know there's no change, but I'm going to still help you. Because he ultimately does help them by buying time for them to leave, all that stuff. But just a little weird. You don't find that like very out of character for Luke Skywalker?
I remember when Force Awakens was announced, I had a fellow Star Wars colleague in my office who said, like, who do you think will now be there? Because there are no Siths and Luke is the only proper Jedi left. And what will happen? So, like, we all came from that question where even Luke back then would have been like, there's no one there. Yeah, there's no one for me.
He is the last of the Jedi.
Yeah. So, he's seen his father go through this. He's seen a lot of other people go to the dark side. So, his only last hope is that whatever he's learned or whatever he's acquired knowledge-wise, he can give to these kids. But even in these kids, if there's dark powers, then there's nothing left for him to hope for. So, what we see is a hopeless, broken, and you can understand, like, there's years of backstudy not there for us to understand. But like he must have tried it multiple times for all you know.
And the other thing is, and he does say this, I mean, like the most famous line is like, it's time for the Jedi to end. I think is it because like he's just like, maybe this whole Jedi Sith is not a really good idea.
I feel like that's what
that was the plan.
Like, he kind of goes through a moment of like, if I was willing to kill a kid, then what is the Jedi? Like,
what is the
how am I any different from my dad? And how is this kid going to be any different? Like, screw it all.
In other words, I think that conflict never really left him of joining the dark side.
Fair enough, yeah.
He just goes
I guess it's in the blood, bro. Yeah. But I think, fair enough. That's a reasonable point. Man, I think this movie just has so many different things about it, man.
It's opening up conversations.
Yeah, that's the greatest thing about this movie. I mean, say what you will, about like, oh, they did this, they did that, blah, 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 whatever it is. But like, it's got so much going on. There's so much to talk about. And I really do think that this is going to be a movie that in years to come, people will appreciate for how it took the franchise, a lot, more forward than the previous installments. What do you think is going to happen in the last film? Where do you go from here?
Exactly. The ending of this one is pretty much the ideal episode 9 ending with a boy looking at the stars.
Yeah, exactly. Which I thought was cool. It's a nice touch.
Yeah.
You have to
I do
really
feel
watch
the
it
Outer
closely.
Rim friends will come and meet them sometime down the line. I think that's going to happen.
But do you think even
I was so busy. I didn't see your message. And
What? Acha, Maria, look.
No, but like, maybe if the Jedi and the Sith also have to end, are they just getting rid of everything that we really know about Star Wars? Like the Jedi, the Sith, the Resistance, the First Order. I mean, the First Order is now in control of Kylo's in control of the First Order. And he's also saying, he's like, forget this thing, man. Forget all of this. Let's just do it from scratch. I mean, maybe he'll just slap a new name on it and do something else with it. But like, what if...
But then doesn't Luke say at the end, I'm not going to be the last Jedi, and they cut to Rey lifting the rocks?
That is true.
So the Jedi survive, I guess?
I don't know where we stand.
And what, though? And what does Kylo want now, really?
The thing
tell.
is that...
He's like, join me and we'll like kind of rule, I
guess.
We'll
hang out.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have a real
agenda.
Listen to some jams in my room, man. Just
he's just...
chill.
Man, but he's so awesome, though. I love Kylo Ren.
Yeah, I think
like, he's the most
really
badass... lightsaber wielder I've seen in a movie. Like, I mean, Obi-Wan is very elegant and Anakin was whatevs. But this guy is like, he is a badass. Like, he's actually like, when he's like fighting with, Rey is obviously great, but this guy's just like, the ferocity in the choreography is fantastic. I mean, that's
full on Bahubali in his...
Dude, it's amazing. Even when he's fighting like Luke, like Luke is all like, this is how Obi-Wan did it, so I guess. And he's just like one-handed, like,
like let's do
barbecue you. Oh man, it's great. One more thing I had.
What does anybody want is what I don't understand now. Like with Snoke, there's a clear... I mean, essentially he's a world domination guy, right?
Yeah.
Or space domination. Yeah. With Kylo, he was following orders. I don't think he cares about world domination that much.
And you think that there's a romantic thing happening between them, if I'm not mistaken?
There's definitely something.
There's some like she's checking him out. He's got like abs of steel. Yeah,
It's become a thing, a meme altogether now.
Yeah, I know. But I mean,
I thought that was a great moment when she's like, "Oh, can you put something?"
Yeah,
on?
but it's again, see that moment of comedy in the middle of something like really serious. I'm just like, what?
I thought that was good though. Like that seems in character for her, where she'd just be like completely embarrassed by the guy.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Thanks.
Only
Give me closure there. I need a lot of people to explain this movie to me. I think that's the whole ticket.
But then
yeah,
I
man.
guess if we go by the standard formula, Star Wars formula, where Return of the Jedi was about Luke coming over through the light side and redeeming Darth Vader.
Yeah, right.
Then ideally we're looking at Rey trying to
Kylo
get
dying
Kylo
in the
over.
arms of Rey.
Yeah.
But doing the right thing, which was what? Killing himself? He's the biggest bad now over there.
And I don't know. I mean,
Is
Darth
he
Vader.
even bad? What does he want? Like, he might
I
just
mean,
be
he's
like,
bad
you
for
know
sure.
what, everyone
He
like...
had
kinda-
every gun shoot at his uncle.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Even
Easy,
Hux
yeah.
is around. I think.
But
Hux will
now
do
his
something.
uncle
But,
is dead. Like, it feels like he's motivated by, I hate my family.
Yeah.
And now they're all gone. So, what do
Literally,
you
yeah,
hate?
they are all gone.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even think about it.
I think something will happen with Hux next time. Like
I don't know, man. They've set him up too much as a comedic kind of
Yeah, he's-
side
That's what
kick.
he'll
He
want
just
revenge
needs to
for.
slip on a banana peel is the only
He's
thing
a
he
tujhse
needs.
nahi ho payega.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're all underestimating Hux.
Do you think Phasma will be back?
Yeah,
She'll
I
be
think
back,
so
yeah,
because
with
she's
the
in
burn
contract.
face.
That's why Maz Kanata came back from one scene. That's why.
Yeah.
So she'll be back.
Which was a super weird scene, by the way. It felt like she was giving them a video game quest. Like, on this place in
Yeah.
Canterbury, there is one hacker.
It was.
By the way, I
Plum
had
Boom.
sex with him.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, exactly. How about that?
what was up
Bizarre.
with that? Where she's
Also-
like, oh, I knew him, if
Question-
you know what I mean.
Question: Are you unhappy that no lightsabers clashed in this film?
A little. And I was also disappointed nobody said I have a bad feeling about this.
I
Once
didn't
You
even
just
realize.
destroyed this movie. No. Why did you do that? That really is the
But-
very final
so-
nail in the coffin.
But,
isn't it?
but
Right.
it's said by BB-8 in its voice.
Yeah, there's another theory that when
No, don't do this.
That is true.
that Chewbacca says it.
This is a whirlwind of emotions I'm having
BB-8
here.
says it. It's legit.
When does he say it?
When in the beginning, when he's being attacked by the force, the guys.
Quick save, guys. Quick. That is
Also,
it.
I hated BB-8 using the AT-AT walker. I just didn't think it was.
Oh yeah, that was a little lame.
Yeah.
That was a very Indiana Jones. I mean, like that Spielbergian.
Yeah.
Kill
Yeah,
them.
Get
kinda
out
like
of this
that.
situation.
You know, even when they're riding on the new
Fathiers.
tauntauns, yeah, whatever.
Fathiers.
Fathiers?
Yeah.
Okay, so when they're riding on the Fathiers or whatever, it felt very very Indiana Jones.
Yeah, but I enjoyed
Harry
that.
Potter.
I think it was fine. I enjoyed it. Nobody else did.
I liked it
almost
the
like
second
a
time.
moment-to-moment call of like, this works for some people, this doesn't
Yeah.
work for some people, and everyone's
So
got
difficult, so difficult to please,
Yeah.
right? I'm okay with it, all in all told. I think it's fine. But the whole lightsabers, no lightsaber.
Yeah.
You know, I'm missing the
There's an
lightsaber
entire Reddit
duels.
chain about BB-8. So go home.
I'm gonna check that out. But I'm kind of upset that we don't see any lightsaber battles anymore. You know, like
You know,
the thing
honestly,
about the prequels.
yeah.
Has the greatest lightsaber battles.
of course
ever.
it does, yeah.
It's so good because they're so awesome to watch. And I always thought that was a big selling point for Star Wars, right? Like the actual lightsaber
I felt it
duels.
was
That's too much
quick.
lights,
Yeah,
yeah.
But
it's
I
just
felt like there was enough.
that they're clashing in like angles which would idly cut their clothes. You know, like if you think about it, if
Dude,
they're laser swords,
I just
they will
think
tear
no.
your body
What?
like
in the
prequels, yeah.
Dude, they did them with actual stunt stuff, man. Then they put on the effects, so they are
The CGI is
actually.
glaring.
Dude, man, the fight sequence between Anakin and Obi-Wan is legendary, man.
I like
yeah,
Obi-Wan
I
and
agree.
General Grievous as well because he
Oh,
has
that
a
was
fucking
great.
force.
Yeah. The best part about that is he shoots him in the end. I love that.
So I think I didn't miss lightsaber duels because there was still some great action. Like
There was great action, yeah.
Kylo and Rey against the guard was an amazing
that's one of
sequence.
It was an amazing sequence. And they
Yeah.
did a lot of things which I've always said, hey, why don't they do that with lightsabers? Like, just switch it on and off.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
one was great. And even like switch it off, catch it,
The
switch it on.
Jugalbandi
again.
they had was
Yeah,
very
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
They did some.
I
some-
love that scene.
Yeah, good Navratri vibes.
Again, like Bahubali.
This is the second Bahubali, I'm assuming, because I've not seen the second one, so I don't know
No,
how many lightsaber
in the
duels
first
I
one
have.
also, like, no, in the second one, yeah, correct. You have to see that second one. Because Bahubali and his trainer have this unique connection while they're fighting. So he screams mama and throws a sword and he catches it mid-air and then like chops 4 people. It's very cool.
Shit, nice.
I'm now like, I'm a professor. Professor not like as I'm a professor, I'm teaching people. I'm professing the fact that Bahubali is awesome.
It is.
Yeah.
It is
my
then.
friends have been pimping this movie and I was like, nah, it couldn't be that great. But over the Christmas weekend, I watched it and I think it's the best thing we've created in this country.
You're a
In a
believer.
very long time, yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Anyways.
That's huge praise,
Yeah.
man. Cool. All right, cool. So we're done. Last Jedi.
We
Part
got
one of Star Wars.
we got through an entire Last Jedi conversation without mentioning porgs, guys.
Oh, I didn't mind them at all.
Significant
I
in
thought they
general.
were very
I
dismissive.
just felt
no.
weird when Chewbacca was eating one of them while
Yeah,
the others were
I thought it was a
watching.
funny scene. It was,
Yeah.
and it was also, and again, written because Chewbacca needs to be distracted for Luke
Yeah,
to get on.
I think
everything is well written. I feel like it's all there for a reason.
C-3PO and R2-D2 and Chewie are just like baggage now.
But
you just
that's
need
all
to
they are.
put
They
them-
don't have to. They don't. I mean, I like that little homage also they did for the when he says
the-
cheap, whatever it is, cheap shot.
Yeah, when he plays Leia's message. That was a great moment.
That was a
Yeah.
great moment. So I think that they are peripherals. I mean, they are the old guard as much as our three heroes are.
Yeah.
So I think that's okay. It's fine. I feel like Chewie. We're not spending enough time.
Sideline,
yeah.
I care about Chewie. I just want to know he's okay. Like that's what it is for me. Like in the next movie, if they kill Chewie, I'll be like, fully.
Erased from canon.
Yeah. Then fully what?
That would be a
Because that's
problem.
not fair.
I
You
agree.
can't ignore him for like a movie
and
then kill him off. I have this bad feeling they're going to destroy the Millennium Falcon in the next one, and I'm just like,
ouch.
and I'd be like, why? Yeah. Dude, anything is possible now. Anything is possible.
That's true.
Yeah. Just think about it, man. They'll just.
I don't think
remove
Jabrams
him.
would do it. He's gonna kind
Oh,
of.
right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Abrams might
is-
just undo everything.
He's just like he'll bring Snoke by. He's like, dude, I set up all this shit and you screwed me. He's like he made all these.
The
"Ooh,
first
who is
scene
this
of the
person?"
last episode will be like Ray waking up and going like, "Whoa, that was a weird dream."
And then they realize that they all died actually in a plane crash like way before Force Awakens. That's what's gonna happen. All right, cool. So that's our episode. Thank you guys for joining me and Geek Fruit for The Last Jedi. This is our spoiler episode, and if you guys have any thoughts, any interesting world-destroying events like they just told me about, I have a bad feeling about this not being there, but actually being there. Oh my god! Like for 2 minutes, I was just like
roller coaster ride.
I was just
And would you invest in an app that promotes Force Courier? Would you?
yes,
And
more-
force
force
space,
timing,
force
force timing. All right, cool. So let us know.
You should TM these guys, by the way.
Geekfruit.in, contact geekfruit@gmail.com, and find us all on Twitter. Give us your Twitter handles.
At
guys.
no_Rona.
At Dinks, thanks.
At Abbas Momin.
And I'm at Tejas Menon, and that's our show.
Cool.
See you later, you nerds.
I like how they got their entire names in the handle.
Yeah,
We don't really
we had to go with stupid
shitty
ones.
handles, yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Sorry to say, but there's been a slight delay due to the apocalypse having suddenly begun. As you can see, there's death, destruction, and chaos taking place all around us. But don't you worry, food and drinks will be served shortly, and I would recommend checking out
IVM Podcasts.
to get some of your favorite Indian podcasts. We'll keep you going till this whole thing blows over. Thank you.